And welcome to another reading from the Science of Mind magazine, The Daily Guides. Hope your weekend was good, and I hope your coming week is also very good. Looking on the bright side, this reading actually is called From Pitiful to Powerful. From Pitiful to Powerful. How about that? Discontent, blaming, complaining, self-pity cannot serve as a foundation for a good future, no matter how much effort you make. And that was Eckhart Tolle, and I'm sure you've heard of him. Second quote is almost always from Ernest Holmes, and this time it's from the Science of Mind textbook on page 186. Never look at that which you do not wish to experience. Never look at that which you do not wish to experience. I'll read out what it actually says in the book, because there's a bit more. He says, never look at that which you do not wish to experience. No matter what the false condition may be, it must be refuted. The proper kind of a denial is based upon the recognition that, in reality, there is no limitation. For mind can as easily make a planet as an acorn. The infinite knows no difference between $1 million and a penny. It only knows that it is. So just once again, a little explanation about that. What Ernest Holmes is saying is don't focus on that which you don't wish to experience. Admit the present circumstances, and then in prayer move away from it and only concentrate on that which you want. And that's what this means. So sometimes it's misinterpreted. Sometimes people say, well, Holmes told us to deny that there's poverty, etc. No, he didn't. He told us to admit it, but then to admit it and then move away and look at what we want, which is people having enough money, food, resources to get around. A Reverend Christian says, when life doesn't go your way, it can just as easily fall into self-pity. Once you open the door to self-pity, you will have a tough time controlling the guest who shows up for the party. The stories carried on the back of self-pity can be debilitating, such as, I was betrayed, I was dumped, I was taken advantage of, I was too young, I was too old, they were out to get me, I received no support, my timing is never right, I never get the good breaks. You know, we all know people, I mean, to some extent, we all do this a little bit. Well, not all of us, but most of us. But as soon as the idea of leading a spiritual life is that once you realize what you're doing, you move away from it and you focus on what you do want. And we all know people who live their lives focusing on what's going wrong. It's almost as if they admit it. You know, I've mentioned before, a friend of ours, she posts on Facebook a lot, and there's always some kind of disaster going on. And it's as if her mind is focused on this disaster. When someone decides to be miserable, creating all the evidence needed to validate the choice is well rehearsed and convincing. The assurance they demonstrate will take others down into the same bottomless pit of despair, right along with them. Buying into someone's self-pity only adds weight to their burden and to yours. In The Science of Mind, the textbook, Ernest Holmes goes on to tell us, a good treatment is always filled with the recognition of the presence of the divine or the good, capital G for good. This automatically wipes out any picture of undesirable conditions. Managing difficult circumstances rather than descending into self-pity can be seen as seeing the divine become the transformer of the pitiful to the powerful. So the purpose of doing our spiritual work is to get to a point where once we realize what's going on, we can actually switch and focus on that which we do want. It's really just common sense on the one hand. One, it's common sense. Why would you focus on what you don't want? It's nuts. And on the other hand, it's saying that there is a power, a presence, the divine, the all, the infinite, the good, that can actually bring you what you want. Therefore, why wouldn't you want that? Why would you want to wallow in misery and self-pity and all things going wrong if you can switch it around. And of course, what we call focusing on the good is spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer. The difference between a pleading prayer and affirmative prayer is really the difference between how a lot of people pray and how Jesus prayed. You know, Jesus never asked, never begged. He never begged his father, quote unquote, Abba, for anything. He just knew, Father, you always hear me. So he actually knew, and he did not carry out any kind of pleading, begging prayer. He just absolutely knew that he was connected, one with the divine, and that whatever he put into the divine mind would actually come about. You know, a lot of the time we forget. I grew up Christian, like probably most of you. I realize some of my Christian friends would not call Catholics Christians, but they are. If there had been no Catholic Church, there wouldn't be any Christians right now. Did the Catholic Church get into lots of stuff it shouldn't have? Absolutely. But the point is this: we need to focus on what we want and not what we don't want. Remember that old saying by that Zen master from somewhere in the East? Thank you very much. I have no complaint whatsoever. Thank you very much. I have no complaint whatsoever. Because what we do when we say that, we change our vibration. And when we change our vibration, we start to attract the things that are on that new vibratory level. When we're wallowing in self-pity, that is the level of vibration we're on, and we bring it in. I was reading in the Science of Mind magazine, there's a couple of guys in there who write about spirituality and the brain. And I just briefly glanced at their article in this month, and I don't agree with it. It's as simple as that. I don't agree with it. Why? Because they're trying to say that there's nothing going on outside of the brain, which is nonsense. I mean, you and I all felt connections outside. As I mentioned before, when I'm doing wordscapes, my wife's watching TV and a word will come on the TV that I'm filling in, and the wordscapes puzzle at that very moment. We are all connected. Whatever they want to think or say, we're all connected. And because we're all connected, it means we're one with the divine. And if we really are one with the divine, then the power of the divine is running through us, and we can just as easily focus on what we do want as opposed to what we don't want. I love the affirmation, I see the good in all situations. Once again, are we denying that things aren't right? No, but what we're saying is that if we look hard enough in every situation, something good will come from it. Remember, every cloud is a silver lining. In other words, if you look hard enough, even in things which seem to be awful, you will find some good. You know, even in the midst of war, which in itself is, to my mind, awful, you will see a lot of good. You'll see courageous people trying to rescue others, trying to take them out of harm's way, trying to get them to safety. In every situation, you're going to see something good. Well, that's really all I got to say for today. I see the good in all situations. Remember, Reverend Lisa will be on tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. I'll be back somewhere around about 5 o'clock tomorrow evening. And, well, just remember this. We mentioned the other day, community is very important. When you are in the presence of like-minded people who look for the positive, you're automatically lifted up. And when you're looking at the positive and you're with other people, you automatically lift them up. So until next time, this brief reading, namaste.